So the original Meze Liric was a pretty great closed back headphone. Now a couple years later they've got the Liric 2. What's changed? Is it better? Is it worse? That's what we're diving into today. Welcome back to the channel. I'm MrAyrit. Hope you guys are all doing well. Let's dive in to the Liric 2. Okay, so first of all, as far as like packaging goes, it's very, very similar packaging. You do get this nice carry case with it. I believe it is the exact same carry case that came with the original Liric, at least very, very, very similar. And similar to the original Liric, right? The build is very, very reminiscent. Like a lot has remained the same. I'm gonna go ahead and just link to my original review of the first Liric, so you can dive a little bit deeper into that if you want, but I'm just going to highlight the differences for you here. So one of the big differences is the wood cups, which I appreciate. I think they're, understated, but still, I'm a sucker for wood headphones, so I dig that. You can still see like all the copper accents that are on there. The yokes are very similar, still that friction-based design. Headband, I think, is more or less unchanged. It's still a very lightweight, comfortable headphone. It feels great on the head. The only real gripe I have is that I did find that the friction bands did slip on me a little bit. Now this is a review unit sent by Meze, so I don't know what this thing has been through. Review units tend to, get put through a lot, honestly. So I'm not really going to hold that against them, but it's just something to note. Another thing that I appreciate is that these do now have the magnetic removable cups on them, magnetic removable pads, which the original did not. So I appreciate that they've got that just to make it, an easy swap if you need to. Now I'm not sure if they have other pad options. Mine only came with just the set of leather pads here, which are very, very nice and comfortable. But I wonder if they don't have other sets of pads now, I wonder if maybe that'll be an option in the future. Dive in here and look at just the driver. Again, Meze has their kind of own unique driver style that they employ. I'm not going to go into too many technical details, but I'll link below if you want to go check that out. But one thing that I always just appreciate about Meze headphones is just I feel like every aspect of the headphone is designed well and just looks phenomenal, honestly. So inside of the cups, outside of the cups, the driver, the yokes, just all that stuff, it looks phenomenal. It's a great looking headphone, just like the original Liric was. As far as accessories go, the stock cable is a pretty generic cable, very rubbery. You can see I didn't even use it because they sent with the review unit their kind of upgraded option for the cable. Now I'm not sure what the price is on this thing, but I can say that Meze's aftermarket cables, like their upgraded cables, they are some of the best cables I've ever used. Like, it is a phenomenally built cable. Looks nice, matches the colorway, metal hardware on there. Mine came with a 4.4 balanced. So I mainly used this cable and thought it was phenomenal. Whether it's worth the extra money, I'll leave that up to you. So I think that pretty much covers the basis of like the headphone and kind of the build and how that compares to the original Liric. It's phenomenal. I would say it's better just because you got the wood cups and you've got the magnetic pads, but iterative because it was already a great design, right? And switching over to talk about sound, I would say that is also iterative. It's not a total departure from the original. Now keep in mind, I haven't heard the original in quite a while, but just listening to my previous review and listening to this headphone, I think they have a lot in common. I would say that this one I think is improved, and I think the one thing that I mentioned specifically with the old Liric was that it had that kind of closed back feel to it. When you put on a closed back headphone and it just sounds a little dead in there. and it doesn't give you kind of that open, spacious feeling that you get with open back headphones. I would say that they have taken steps to improve that in this headphone. I did not get that kind of claustrophobic sense when I was using the Lyric 2. Matter of fact, I didn't even think about it. Like, I didn't even remember until I watched that old review that I felt that way about the original Lyric. So I definitely didn't find that with these guys, and so that's a good thing. The other things that I said about that original Lyric was just that it had phenomenal bass, like excellent bass texture. I honestly think that I don't find that this one is like super detailed in the bass department, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing either. I find that the tuning on these, they talk about it being like a little bit warmer, but still detailed sound, and I think that's probably right with this, at least to my ear, again, and not having heard the old Lyric for quite a while. I found it to be a very pleasant tuning. Like I said, maybe not the ultimate in bass detail, but the bass is still very present. It goes very low. It's still a very pleasing bass. I thought that the original Lyric was just like an uber detailed headphone, and I would say this is in that same category as well, especially when we're talking about throughout the mid-range and the treble regions. I find that just every little bit of detail you could possibly want is there, sometimes to the detriment of the song. I would say, while I do enjoy the tuning of this headphone, it is not kind to poor recordings. Specifically, there is a song that I've just been loving lately. It's been an earworm of mine, called Patches by Steven Wilson Jr. And while I love that song, it is not particularly well recorded, and it comes off a little harsh and kind of sizzly on the Lyric 2 here. Again, I'm not really blaming the Lyric 2 for that. I'm just telling you that it's revealing. It's a very revealing headphone, and it will show you if a track is not recorded well. I found the imaging and separation and just kind of like the layering and depth to tracks to be really phenomenal with this headphone. Like, I really felt like you can kind of dive into the music. I don't feel like anything's really like forced on you. It's not pushing anything your way. It's just, it's got all the information, and it's kind of there represented really well. And it's just a very pleasing headphone to listen to. Again, when you're listening to it, it's a very uncompromising headphone. Like, it's got just about everything you would possibly want. The timbre is good. The soundstage is very adequate for a closed back. I just think in general it is just a really, really excellent headphone. Probably one of the best, if not the best, closed back that you can get. I haven't heard, tons of the, couple $1,000 closed backs, but out of the ones I've heard, this one is definitely up there with the best of them. So really just a phenomenal design and a phenomenal sounding closed back headphone. It's not super amp picky. It's fairly easy to drive. I listened at my desk on the Element 3. I listened with the Topping G5. I listened with the BTR 7. All of that stuff, pushed this thing just fine and sounded really good with it. So just to close out with another comparison of a closed back, another one that I really enjoy here is the JM XTC Close. This is the first version of that headphone, and this is one that was tuned for me to be warm and detailed, which is kind of what they're going for with the Lyric 2 here. I would say that the XTC Close is a little bit more exciting. I would say it is not quite as let's say accurate to the source material, but adds its own extra flavor. And I felt like, the bass I felt like was maybe a little bit, tighter, but also elevated. And I thought that the vocals were maybe just a little more pushed forward on the XTC Closed, whereas comparing to the Lyric 2, I just thought the Lyric 2 sounded a little more natural, accurate, true to what I thought the track should be, and it didn't feel like it was like playing with the frequencies or pushing anything. So I love them both, but they are slightly different in how they present music to you, depending on what flavor you're going for. So I'm just to summarize, right? Liric 2, excellent build. I would say it's an improvement on the original in both build and sound quality. So if you're looking for an uncompromising closed back headphone that's just extremely well designed, I certainly would put the Liric 2 on the top of your list. I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. As always, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate Meze sending these out for review. I will send them down the road to the next reviewer. But I appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.